Hi, I'm Connie from Let's Go Crafting. Today's project will be a little woven bookmark. The bookmark we will make today will be slightly smaller than this one, but you can really make them any size you want. For this project you will need a piece of cardboard. I always cut the fronts and the backs off my cereal that my children eat, but you can use any cardboard you want. So you'll need a piece of cardboard, a ruler. This is from when I went to school, so it's ancient. You're going to need a plastic fork and some scissors, and you're going to need a pencil. I'll be right back to show you how to make your cardboard loom. To make your loom out of cardboard, we're going to measure. The piece of cardboard that we need for this bookmark is approximately 2 inches by 4 inches. So all I do is I set my ruler on the edge of the cardboard and I just measure over 2 inches. And then I make a straight line, or as straight as it can be, and I just measure down 4 inches. You can make many of these looms with this piece of cardboard, and I will save the rest of my cardboard for another day. So after you cut out your piece of cardboard, making sure that you use your paper scissors. You don't want to use your fabric scissors or your thread scissors or your yarn scissors on cardboard. It's very hard on them. So after you cut out your cardboard, your 2 inch by 4 inch piece of cardboard, you now have to do some other measuring and some other cutting. So from each end, we need to measure 1/4 inch. So just for you, I marked out, here's 1/4 inch. So I'm going to mark 1/4 inch, and I'm going to make a straight line. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing at the other end. Now we need to make notches for our yarn, for the warping part of our loom. So all we do is we measure and we make a little mark every 1/4 inch. Can you see my little marks here? These are cutting lines. Okay, once you have those, then you cut little slits, and the slits go just down to your solid line. And you're going to do that on this side and on this side. I will see you as soon as I've gotten mine cut. So here is my loom. I have cut every 1/4 inch. So our little tabs are 1/4 inch. They're 1/4 inch wide and they're 1/4 inch long. We're going to start to warp our loom so that we can weave. You can choose any yarn you want. I've chosen this one. It's, I believe this is Red Heart yarn, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to go into the first slit on the left-hand side. I'm going to turn my loom over, and I have this little bit back here. I don't want this bit to pull free, so I'm just going to put a piece of tape on it. Then I'm going to pull my yarn straight down to the slit at the bottom. And I don't want to pull too tight, because if I do, my loom starts to look like that. I want to make sure I leave it just so that it's flush, just so it's touching, but not pulling. So now I'm through this slit, and I want to go to this slit. So I'm going to come, and I'm going to go like this, and go into the very next slit. And then you come back up. The one thing you don't want to do is just wrap around and around, because then you get a whole bunch of yarn on the back that you don't need. You'll never use, and you'll have to cut it off. So we go from slot to slot. So I'm at the slot at the top. So I just come to the right, come in the next slot, go straight down, go into the slot there, come to the right, go in this slot. We're going to do that until we get all the way to the end, and I'll show you how to stop. I'll see you then. Now I'm almost done with my warping. I have this piece that's left. I cut it off. I'm going to put it through the last notch. I'm going to turn my loom over, and I'm going to tape this side down as well. I don't want the tape on the front. Now it's time to weave. Now, there's many different things you can use. You can use ribbon, you can use yarn. This is cotton yarn I dyed. This is some kind of fancy ribbon I have left over. This is some eyelash yarn that's like totally tangled. I'm going to use some of this. There's some of this. You can really use anything you want. The thinner the yarn, the longer it takes. That's just the way it is. The thicker the yarn, the faster it goes. There are several different ways to weave across your loom. I'm going to show you as many as I know of, and then you will do whatever you think is right for you. So we cut our yarn approximately, I think I've cut them like between 6 and 8 inches long. How long is this one? Oops, this one's a little longer. All right, so this one's 8.5. I don't typically measure the yarn unless I'm trying to create a pattern. So this one I was trying to create a pattern, so I did measure the yarn. The one I'm making today, I'm just gonna weave. I'm not gonna worry about it. So I'm gonna start under the first thread. So the first way of doing it is just by hand. You don't do anything special. So you go under the first one. So that's under. Over this second one. Under the third. Over. Under. Over and under. So it's a pattern. It's under, over, under, over, under, over, under. Okay? It doesn't matter if you end different than I do. That doesn't matter at all. They just have to go opposite. So if you've gone under one, you go over the next. And then you just pull your yarn down to the bottom and pull your end almost flush. So now your second row, I'm going to show you a different way. This one is a yarn needle. It has a big eye and it's very blunt. So the best way I have found to thread it, I can't really always get it in that way. It doesn't work that well for me. So the way I do it is I make a bend in the yarn. So I have this little crease, and then I stick that crease into the eye of the needle. And that is just easier for me. You can do whichever way is best for you. So I'm at this side of our loom, the left side, and my yarn is coming out from underneath the thread. So when I come back this way, I want it to go over the thread. If, however, yours is already over the thread, you will go under the thread. So wherever you are, when you start to come back across, it will be the opposite. So because my yarn is under, I'm going to come over this first one, and under, and over, and under, and over, and under, and over. And then I'm just going to pull it. And I'm going to pull it not so that it pulls tight like that. See how your edge string is bent? I just want to pull it even. And with this handy dandy plastic fork, I'm going to push my yarn to the bottom. And now I'm ready to do the next row. The next way that I know of to do it is you take a popsicle stick. Well, there's two more ways. You take a popsicle stick and you tape the end of your yarn to the popsicle stick. And then you use the popsicle stick the same way that I used the yarn needle. So right now my end yarn is over this thread. So I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to go under and then over and then under and over, under, over, under. And then I'm just going to pull it through. Like that. And every time I pull it through, I'm going to push down my thread with my fork. Now I can see that I am running out of yarn. So I want to attach the next piece before I run out. I pre-cut this piece because I kind of like it. It's pretty color. And now I'm just gonna knot it on here. I'm gonna do an overhand knot around my finger like that. And then I'm gonna stick these little ends through the loop that I just made. I'm going to make sure both come in here. And then what I do is I pull this tight, but I try and push it really close to the end. So the knot is really close to the end. Okay? And that's what it looks like. You can trim off these extra little bits, but it doesn't really matter. It's a bookmark. And it's going to be fun and nice having a little bit of texture in there. The third way that I know of to do, and I'm sure there's many, many more. These are just the ways that I've known and done and I think work well, is you take your tape and you just wrap it around the very end of your yarn. Now, make a note to yourself that this part of the yarn you'll have to cut off. You won't be able to use that. So this, if you don't have a yarn needle, this works like a yarn needle. So now I'm underneath my outer thread. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to go over the outer thread and then under and over and under and over and under and over. And I'm going to pull that across and I'm going to beat it down, and I'm going to keep doing this until I get all the way up to here. When I get all the way up to here with all my woven threads, I'm going to think I'm done, but I'm really not done. Then I'm really going to use my fork to pack it in even tighter, and then I'm going to add a little bit more, and then I'll be done. So the next step when I'm done with this yarn will be to add something else. Maybe some ribbon, maybe some fun fur, whatever you have on hand works well. And so I will come back as soon as I've finished weaving on my loom. Here we are. We've finished weaving on our little loom. See how densely packed that is? Look at all these cute little threads here. I'm sure yours looks just as cute. Now we're going to turn our loom over. And your thread should be taped down. Mine seems to have come loose for some reason. So I have this thread, the start of our warping. I'm going to turn it back over. And I'm going to take this thread out of my notch. Now I'm going to pull these off one by one. So I take it off, and now I kind of pull it up so I have a little bit of room. And then you just stick your end right in there, and you pull it. This end is from the last line of weaving, and we'll take care of that in a minute. Now, if you are doing hair, you are going to want to cut a piece of thread, and I'm going to do some wacky blue hair. You don't need a whole lot. cut it a little longer than you think you might want. And you have your thread. And that thread will also go right up at the top. You know where we put our beginning warping thread? That's where this thread goes. We go right through that loop. And you pull it through. This morning I seem to be having an issue, but here it comes. And then you just knot it. And you knot it any old way. It doesn't matter. I'm going to do a nice little double knot. There we go. And now I'm going to take the next one off. And I'm going to cut my thread first. I'm not worried if the hair threads are the same length or anything. All I need is that once I fold it in half, it's slightly longer than what I want my hair to be on my bookmark. So now I'm going to take this second one off and pull up the loop to give me just a little bit of space to stick my thread through. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the last loop. If you want a lot of hair, after you've put your threads through the last loop, you'll come back and you'll put thread through these little spaces here. I will see you as soon as I have all my threads in the loops. So now I've got all my yarns attached at the top. I did one for each loop and one for each middle section. Our next step is to deal with this last little warping yarn. Really, all I do is I knot it to one of the hair yarns. If you're not gonna put hair, then you would just knot it to this loop, and that's all you do. And then you chop off the end close to the knot, and that would be it. So I'm going to quickly knot this so nothing comes unraveled for me. Now if you want hair, and if you want wacky hair like this guy, let me show you how to do it. So yarn has something called ply. What that means is there are several different strands of yarn in each of your yarn pieces. So this looks like one piece of yarn, but really it's several, and they're all rolled up together. They're twisted. So if you untwist your yarn, you can pull out the separate threads, and then you have wacky looking hair. Now you can leave this white piece in for wacky looking hair, or you can cut it out. I haven't decided yet. I'm gonna wait till I make all my wacky hair. I will come back as soon as I've made wacky hair out of all these strips of yarn. All right, see you then. Here's all my wacky hair, and now I've decided that I don't really like this white streak in the middle, so I'm gonna cut him off. And, you know, as time goes by, your threads will, get more and more wacky. If you feel like you don't have enough, just add extras in here. For some, I just feel like mine's a little bit too long. So I'm just going to come and I'm just going to give him a little haircut. Like that. Oops. Like that. There we go. For mine, I'm going to add eyes and a face, but I'm going to do that later. I'm going to show you how to take him totally off of the loom, and then we'll add some arms and legs if you would like. To do that, to take the bookmark off the end, it's the same process. You just take the end out of the tape, pull it up, take your end off so you have a little loop. This one's easier. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to knot this. And I'm just going to pull it tight. And I'm going to put another knot in there. Okay, so there's our knots. So now you're going to just pull off the rest. And if you see that you have big loops and you don't like that, all you need to do is kind of pull down your weaving a little bit, and then the loops should just look like normal. I have white lines in here because I chose to use ribbon that people use to wrap up on birthday gifts and stuff, and I kind of like that look. I don't know, but that's why that's there. Now I'm just going to cut my end. That part is done. If you would like to add arms and legs, you just need to get your yarn. And for this one, I just measured out my yarn, and I had 3 pieces of yarn, and I'll show you how we did that. I just decided I want them a little long, but remember they're going to be folded in half, so you know, make them any size you want. Err on the longer side because then you can always cut them shorter. So I'm going to cut my 3 pieces. And I'm going to decide where I want them to go. I think I'll have them go around here. So I will separate out my threads right there. There's one of your warping threads. And then I'm going to try and do it all at once, which I've never done before. So maybe it'll work and maybe it won't. It worked. Usually I just do it one by one. Then I bring them out and I line up all the ends. Now if you've done a braid, you know what to do now. If you've never done a braid, I'm going to show you what to do now. You separate this out. We started with 3. Because it's bent over, we now have 6. So you want to separate it out into 2, 2, and 2. So you have equal amounts. So we have 2 here, 2 in the middle, and 2 over here. A braid, you'll take your right hand threads, bring them over the middle, and now the right hands become the middle, and you pull the middle out to the right. Now you take your left, you go over the middle, the left becomes the middle, and the middle becomes the left, and you just keep doing that. So it's right over the middle and left over the middle, and you keep doing that until you're done. So that's how we're going to do it. You're going to, if you want, you'll add arms on this side and you'll add the legs the same way. I'll see you when my arms and legs are finished. All right, now I have my arms and my legs done. But I haven't finished it, so it'll come undone. The way I finish it is I really just do an overhand knot. And that holds everything nice and neat. I bring my knot down to the end, I pull it super tight, and then I trim off the edges like that. And then I'm just going to go to each and every one and do that just quickly. And excuse me. And then we're going to add the eyes and the mouth. And you can add anything you want to this, right? You can make this your own. There's no real right or wrong way. There we go. So now the arms and legs are done. So let's add I'm going to add Googly Eyes because I have those laying around in the studio. You can put eyes on that are made out of felt, buttons, anything you want. I am going to get my glue. I use Elmer's gel glue. You can use the plain old white glue, hot glue, and I just put a big drop on and I turn it over and I push it down wherever I want. If you put extra as I have and a little bit comes out, don't worry because it dries clear and you'll never see it. Now I'm going to make a little mouth. So when I'm making things and I wind up with these little scraps, I keep them. I have, a Tupperware bin full of felt scraps. And the reason I save them is because when I'm making things like this, I only need a tiny bit. And it would be kind of a shame to take a whole big square or a larger piece and just cut a tiny piece out of the edge. So as I'm making things, I save all the pieces. And I'm just going to cut a mouth. It won't be perfect. And I may have to cut more than one to find one that I like. So let's see how this works. I'm trying to make a smiley face. Let's see. All right, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to put just some glue on the back. And put it in place. And maybe press it down so it'll stay. And our bookmark is complete. Now, if you notice, you still have your loom. This loom can be used over and over and over again. You can make as many of these as you want in all different colors, all different styles. If you are enjoying these videos and you want to get them first, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like it. And if you make anything that we've released on our activity projects, please send it to me over email. I would love to see them. And our email is letsgocrafting@gmail.com. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow.